Okay, Father in heaven, thank you again for this opportunity to learn. Be with us and engage our brains so that we can understand the things that are being taught here. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. This is key principles of staying healthy. So we want to stay healthy, maintain our health once we achieve that goal. Okay, this is something that we probably should look into. Our biggest problem that we have, it's actually a listening problem. We don't really listen very well. We like to talk and be heard, but we really don't listen. And you know what? We don't listen to ourselves. Our bodies have one mechanism, and the mechanism that it has to let us know that there's an issue or a problem, it is symptoms. When we have a symptom, I'm too busy for that right now. Or I had to go here or got to do that. You might get a headache. What do? You drink something to quiet that headache. Now, the headache is a symptom of something that is not right. Maybe you need to sleep. Maybe you need to go to the bathroom number 2. You haven't gone to the bathroom number 2 in a while, so maybe that's the case. Or maybe it's some deficiency, some allergies. So these things you need to listen to and pay attention to, but we're too busy for that. We get hurt, and it hurts, and we are walking this way, and we're just, instead of resting, we don't rest. We don't listen. So it is very, very much like this cartoon here, where the daughter says, "Hey, Dad, that light said check engine. Oh, the tape must have fallen off." He picks up the tape from the ground and puts it over the check engine light. And that's kind of what we do with things. We want to quiet the problem so we can continue driving in our lives. Now, I wonder if you buy a car, a brand new car, that you pay $32,000 for this brand new car, and you take it off the dealership lot, and after riding it close to getting home, you see the check engine light. What do? You make a U-turn and you go right back. And this is a car which is replaceable, and you know that in 5 to 10 years you're going to get a new one. But this we don't do to our bodies that last for a whole life. We just, I'm too busy for that. Jimmy, just give me the pill and just let me continue with my life. And these check engine symptoms are just very important to listen to. So what I'm saying, and I'm suggesting to you, that your problem and my problem and everybody's problem is a listening problem. We don't want to listen. Sometimes, what if you don't feel, I'm starting to feel really not motivated for anything. Just no motivation. This is not normal. Deal with it. Try to fix it. Get to the bottom of it. Put a detective hat and figure it out. What's going on? Why I'm not like that? I'm not old. I'm not have energy. I should be able to be motivated to do things. So let's pay attention to what the body says. Now I'm just going to give a small introduction on the body. This might be very simplistic to some, but if we are all in the same page, it's easier. Atoms is the smallest form of, matter, you would say, but that compose our components of our body. It is not true once you hear the video on the somatids. It's not, but atoms combine together to form molecules, and this molecule combined together forms what we call DNA. Okay, and DNA is a molecule of different atoms. Now, this DNA forms what we know that it's a cell. And the cell could be any type of cell. How it gets to be the purpose it has, only God knows. Because the first stem cell that goes is just a cell. and then it becomes to have an eye cell. How does he know that it want to be an eye cell? I have no idea. But it does do that, okay? So in this case, this is a smooth muscle cell. And when many cells combine together, it forms what it's called tissue, tejido. And that is a bunch of cells, okay? When you have tissues together, it forms an organ. In this case, it's the stomach, which is an organ. When you have many organs together, you combine and you form a system. In this case, it's the digestive system, but it could be the nervous system, or it could be any other system, okay? And many systems together forms a beautiful person, which is you. And that's what we're interested in. So all that stuff that I said goes down to atom molecular level. That's your form of atoms, your form of different molecules, different cells, different tissues, different organs, different systems, and you. Now, if we go to the basic of it, the molecule of DNA, it's inside the cell, and it's determined by your genetic, what you inherit from your parents. And I'm just going to say that this side of the ladder, it looks like a twisted ladder. So this side of the ladder, the sides of the ladder are formed of something called polysaccharides. Many sugars. Many sugars. Okay? So it's polysaccharides, many sugars. The steps of the ladder, los escalones, they're formed of something called amino acids. Amino acids. And the connection between the amino acids and the polysaccharides are minerals. They're just minerals. Okay? Very, very simple. Minerals, polysaccharides, and amino acids. Those are the foundation blocks for who you are. How do we get there? Well, the process of digestion, anything that has glucose in it, or sugars, fruits, vegetables, grains, cereals, whatever, grains, legumes, all that stuff, they have sugars in them, carbohydrates. And the body, when you eat it, digests it and basically gets enzymes. And the enzymes are like knives. And these knives just cut these carbohydrates in little pieces. And these little small pieces form what we call glucose, which is the sugar that I'm talking about that the body needs. It's the fuel for the body. So these glucose molecules or sugar molecules form what we call the polysaccharides. Okay? Protein. Tell me something with protein. Jesus, give me something with protein.
Something with protein, beans.
Beans have a protein. Jose. Banana. Potatoes have protein. Nuts, good. Yes. Seeds, they have protein. You don't know? Okay. Lentils, yes. Lentils are good in protein. Christine. Huh? Beans? Meat. Somebody had to say it. Meat has a lot of protein. Yes, for sure. Oh, she took it from you. What else? Fish. Fish is full of protein. Maria. Vegetables, yes. Red clover, yes. Barb. Kale, yes. You know what? You're all right, because everything has protein. There's nothing without protein. If it grows, it only grows because it has protein. If it doesn't grow, maybe a rock, rocks have protein, but I don't think so. If it doesn't grow, it doesn't have protein. But if it grows, everything you eat has protein. Everything. Okay, so that protein needs an enzyme. And this enzyme, it is what? A knife. The enzymes are a knife that breaks this protein through the digestive process. This is protease. And it forms what? Amino acids. So little pieces of protein, blocks of protein, is amino acids. So the food we eat forms what? Our DNA. So in other words, you are what? What you eat. There is no way of looking around. There is no way around it. You are what you eat. It is formed, your DNA. Now, how so? Well, do you know anybody has had any eye surgery here? One person, two, only two people. Eye surgery. What type of eye surgery did you have? LASIK. You? Cataract. How long were you in recovery mode? In the hospital for it? No time at all. You know why? The eyes is the fastest healing. You know, the cells of the eye reproduce every 2 or 3 days. In other words, DNA, which is the foundation for those cells, it's what tells the cell what it needs to do. It is the codification for the cell. These cells have codification saying every 2 or 3 days we have a new one. We replicate ourselves from the original one. From this one, it duplicates into a new one every 2 to 3 days for the eye. So in 2 weeks, you have a new eye, brand new eye. Okay? Brand new eye in 2 days. Now, if you have a digestive problem, inflammation, or any type of problems in your digestive system, you know how long it takes for your digestive system cells to reproduce? 4 to 5 days. Exactly. 4 to 5 days.
I was a guest.
It was a guest? It was, oh, yes.
I had no idea.
It is true.
I thought you said like a week or 2.
Well, it takes probably like 3 weeks to have a new digestive system. So now, if you have a problem there, it is because there is some deficiency in this DNA to replicate. It's not replicating with all the code. It's just there's some deficiency there. So this deficiency is causing that your DNA or your cells are not replicating right. So if I have a problem with my digestive system and it's not healing, and it's not healing, and it's not healing, and I'm not listening to the symptom, maybe I lack something, some building block that it needs to not have that problem. Because if I take this away, maybe when I take this away, that means it's an inflammation in the small intestinal tract. Or if I take this part away, maybe that's an inflammation in the colon, a colitis. Or here I said it's a small intestine, a Crohn. Or here an IBS. Or here an absorption deficiency. You see, these things are needed to have a good working system. Because that's what they do. They have one function. And the function they do every day in and every day out. Okay? Now, we study this, so I'm not going to go through this. I'm just going to tell you, look at a mineral deficiency. A mineral deficiency. Here's your DNA, and there's a mineral that should go here, and it's not. So what happens is that, for example, magnesium is one example. If you have magnesium deficiency, maybe there's or magnesium or iodine. Iodine is a good one because iodine is, thyroid needs iodine. So what happens? The thyroid needs iodine, and the thyroid cells are doing their job and they're needing iodine, but there's deficiency of iodine in your diet. You don't have a balanced diet. So then you start eating this bread, which is bread that is made in the store. You buy a store-bought bread that they want to rise as quickly as possible with the cheapest ingredients as possible. So they put something called bromine. Yeah, bromine. And it's in the same chain as iodine. So now you're missing iodine from your nutrition and you're putting bromine in it that looks sometimes somewhat similar to it. And the DNA that is going to take, the body's going to take that and replace it and put it in place. And now you have something there that does not belong to where it needs to. So these cells are replicating with a deficiency. The problem is to take that bromine out of there. It's a big, big task. That is what you call heavy metal toxicity. Heavy metals do the same thing. The same thing you take fluoride does the same thing. It's very similar to iodine. And when you say, oh yeah, let me have a toothpaste with fluoride, it doesn't do anything for you. Well, if you have deficiencies, it might well do some problems to you, okay? It will get there and it's really hard to get. Just give you an example of magnesium deficiency. Look at this. You know, this is how the result of magnesium deficiency, diabetes, asthma, high blood pressure or hypertension, nervous system issues, osteoporosis, migraine, fatigue, lack of memory, arthritis, cramps, kidney issues, anxiety and panic, blood clotting, constipation, hypoglycemia, tooth decay, heart arrhythmia, just to name a few. Now the USDA say you need 400 milligrams of magnesium a day. That is the minimum just to survive, and it's pretty low. You need way more than that in order to just function. Okay, you were somebody said, what's the question?
I was going to ask, so it's not like the magnesium deficiency causes this, but it's not a causation, but like essentially they found that all of these had a magnesium deficiency.
Yes.
Common.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I am going to skip some of these things. Because I want to concentrate, with the time I have, I want to concentrate what's important. This is a good, healthy blood from somebody here in the center. Not going to say who. We don't tell. Okay. Reasons we get sick. Okay. There's 3 reasons that I say that it's very important. 3 reasons. Renal failure, liver failure, lung failure, or multiple of the 3. Fallo renal, fallo hepático, fallo pulmonar, o múltiple de estos 3. So now, when I say renal failure, I'm talking about your kidneys not working as they need to. Liver failure, you know what a liver is, or hepático, sabe que es el hígado. Lungs, pulmonar, and you study these things and you see them slightly, but sometimes you need some affirmation from somebody that is looking at the same thing as you. So I have respiratory therapists come by to do evaluations or talk by from the hospital, and they had told me, yeah, when a person has problems with their lungs, they typically also have problems with their kidneys, or typically have problems with the liver. They're all associated. These are filters of the body. Let me tell you, just if you're sitting, you have to break for something? Magnesium? Okay, let's stop and get everybody magnesium. If everybody, no, you.
MDS.
Oh, MDS. Okay.
And the apple juice.
Okay.
I have to wait 15 minutes.
Okay, so you filter at least 5 liters per minute through these filters. 5 liters per minute for a normal person. 5 liters per minute. Okay? Now, that, if you add it up, is in an hour, it's 360. No, ya no. 360 liters per hour. It's close to this. 1 liter. This is a little bit more than, whoa. That mason jar you have is 1 liter. That mason jar is a liter. So you go through 360 of those full of blood through these things every hour. That's 7,200. That's one of those semi-trucks full of blood being filtering every day. Multiply by 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 years of your life, you're talking a lot of blood flowing through these filters. Okay? Now, we don't ask those things. We don't look at these questions. We don't think about these things. And there's a lot of things that our blood carry. Carry good things, nutrients, and carry waste that sometimes doesn't come out. Okay. The study was done by a German scientist called Pissinger. And Pissinger found that here's how your cell works, and probably a genius, if you ask me. You have, through the capillary system, you have nutrients coming into your blood. Okay? So nutrients come through the arteries. To the arteries. Your artery system here brings nutrients to the cell. And the waste that the cell produces takes out all this waste, and it takes it out of the body through the veins. Okay? The veins carry waste, let's say summarizing or simplifying waste. Also your lymphatic system, but it ends up in the lymphatic system ends up in the veins too. And the arteries carry nutrients. What nutrients? Oxygen, carbohydrates or glucose, amino acids, which are proteins, or fats that are, fatty acids. Okay? Now, everything that eats creates waste. If you eat an apple, you are going to create waste of that apple. True or false? Even if you drink water, there's waste created. Okay? Once it's used, it's going to create some waste. And that's always going to be the case. The cells, the small cells, are no different. They are going to create waste. Now, if the cell eats glucose, carbohydrates, what's going to come out of the cell as a waste is CO2, carbonic acid. Okay? Carbonic acid is going to be the metabolic waste of carbohydrates. So when you go like this, what's coming out is CO2. Where is it coming from? From the metabolism of carbohydrates. It is that banana you ate a while back, or is that potato you ate, or is that's where it's coming from that metabolism. Okay, at the end of the day. You eat protein or you eat fats, and the metabolic waste is cholesterol. That is the metabolic waste. You eat proteins or amino acids, and the metabolic waste is ammonia. Ammonia, NH4, in the representation of NH4, okay, which is another acid. So these are all metabolic acid. In other words, your body likes to be alkaline, but it's by function acid, okay? Now, this waste that is coming out of the cell is going to go through the lungs. The CO2 is going to come out through the lungs. The protein is going to go through the liver, and then the liver is going to take nitrogen out of that protein, ammonia, and it's going to take it through the kidney through urea. You're going to pee it out. cholesterol is going to go through the kidneys, and it goes through the bile, and it goes out through your intestinal tract. Okay? So the body has this mechanism of getting rid of what? Of waste, metabolic waste. Okay? Now, every cell is connected to the nervous system, to your brain. And it's also connected to membranes. These membranes it could be your skin. It's a membrane also. Anybody has questions about that? Understand that. Okay. So, where does the waste of carbohydrates go to? Yes. And then how does it go out of the body? Yes, exactly right. What about fats? The metabolic waste of fat, how does it get out of the body? Yes, and it goes throughout the liver, okay? And the same with protein, amino acids. NH4 amino acids form ammonia, which it goes out through the liver and to the kidneys. Now, let me show you. This is another sample of the same thing. This is the system. So here, this is a cell, and in here, there is a space, and it's a fluid space. Let me just go back quickly. Here, this space here, it's a liquid space, and it's typically made out of liquids with a lot of minerals in them. And it's alkaline minerals. Because the nutrients come to the capillaries, and it stays here. It doesn't go all the way to the cell. There's other mechanisms that take it from this fluid into the cell. Okay? This is important. It's called lymphatic fluid or interstitial fluid. Now, if there happens to be a problem that these things, the lungs, the kidneys, the liver or the kidneys, are not working efficiently, you're going to have an accumulation of metabolic waste around the cell. Okay? Because these guys are not working efficiently. You follow that. This is very important because we're building here until we get to a point that you understand what's going on. So if these guys are not throwing the waste, the metabolic waste efficiently, something is getting clogged up here, then it's going to get bottled up or clogged up around the cell because it's taking it out of the cell, but it just is not getting out of the space, liquid space of the cell. I had to create a little presentation on this. Here's your filters. You bring through the arteries, you bring oxygen, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. The waste is CO2, ammonia, or cholesterol. Carbohydrates, the metabolic waste is CO2, carbonic acid, proteins is ammonia, and fats is fatty acids, cholesterol. Now, if these guys, for example, the liver gets clogged up or back up, then things are going to back up here in this side. You follow this part, right? Now, here's what happens when that happens, which I said, if there is any disease, you're going to find it here in this problem here. We're talking at the basic level. We're not talking about symptom level. We're going to talk about the basic level where everything starts, which is your cell, okay? Cellular level. The cell, when it's in a toxic environment, when this cell is in this toxic environment, right? It is toxic. It just needs to do something because these things are not going to be able to go through very efficiently. It needs to get into the cell, but they can't because there's just toxicity there. Look what happens. The cell has one option, is to die. It's burned by these acids. It dies because of the chemicals that surround them. Or it has another option, two only options. Defend itself. So it's going to put gloves and it's going to start defending himself. It needs to do something. Okay, when it dies, it is what we call fibrosis, un fibroma. Fibrosis is a cell, multiple cells that die, and they repeat. They say, "What are you doing?" "I'm just dying, giving up." And then the other one, "Yeah, I just gave up," and they all die. Okay, and then when you go to your medical provider and he says, "Why do I have this fibrosis?" What did he responds? "Well, do I have a vaccine for it?" "No." "Do I have a pill for it?" "No." "Is there any problems with any virus or bacteria?" "No." "Let's just cut it out. I have no idea. Don't worry, let's cut it out." Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
There's no solution other than cutting it out. Who knows what that's there? We know what that's there now, okay? The cell decided to die because it was surrounded by metabolic waste, which are acid in nature. Now, when it defends itself, it has another option. The first option is defending itself. When it defends itself, what it does, it retains liquid in this space. So in this interstitial space, it starts retaining liquids, water. Well, this allows the cell to have a boundary where nutrients can come in. Because right now it's surrounded with all these toxins, they cannot come in. So now it has a way of getting nutrients into the cell and waste out of the cell. This is the person that all of a sudden looks to the side and starts, drinks water and I see it a lot with chemotherapy. I had somebody here from had chemotherapy just before he got here. And when he got here, he was not overweight. He was slim. And I did a detox. I think 3-day detox. And he lost like 12 pounds. Ooh. He was like, when I saw, it was all water. Why? He was retaining water. Why? Because all the toxins that the cells couldn't breathe anymore. They couldn't live anymore. So before they die, they just retain water. Okay? So sometimes I see that if I test you after the 3-day fast, I test you, your fat content goes up and your water content goes down. And I say, "I'm drinking so much water. What's going on?" Well, you were retaining so much water. This is the real you. The other option, the other option is to take hostage alkaline minerals from the bones or muscles. And this is the problem. You'll see it on calcifications. "Oh, I have a calcification in my breast." If you go to the doctor and he knows that you have a calcification in your breast, what does he wants to do? Cut it out. And not cut one, cut 2 of them out. Barbaric. Calcifications are never going to kill you. This is not going to kill you. This is just that the surrounding areas are so toxic that it just drains. It just take hostage minerals, alkaline minerals, and form these calcifications. The problem is that the environment is so toxic that eventually you're going to metastasize in cancer, but not from here. But anyways, they just cut you up. And
so when it takes those minerals, can it break them down to use them, or those calcifications are stuck like stone?
yeah, it's like salts, like stones. So he takes those, and anyways, that's one. Or you could see it on the lungs. You see these calcifications in your lungs, or you see them, in different areas. Hey, these calcifications, where are they coming from? From a toxic environment around the cell. Why do you have a toxic environment around the cell? See if you're paying attention. He says because of what you eat. No, wrong. It's not because of what you eat. What? Exactly, because either the liver, the lungs, or the kidneys are not functioning effectively, so things are backing up. You could read wrong, but if these things are pushing it out, you'll find. Have no problem. But if they cannot push it out as quickly as you're bringing it in, that's a big problem. Okay?
Ramon, how can you test to see which one of them is not working properly effective? Is there ways to actually?
The problem is that they don't believe, they don't even know that this is a problem. It's not even in their brain to compute this thing. Because you see, when you go to a medical provider, they're not thinking about you as a person. They're thinking about a little symptom that you're feeling. So they concentrate on that. And they become the specialists of this. And he just looks here. You know, if you look here like this, well, you won't see anything else, right? So you're not looking at the overall picture. What I'm telling you is that you're a person, you're a living being, and you have emotions, you have an environment, you have family, you have many things around you that make you who you are. And when you come here, we try to see if we can give you all the tools for you as a person, not just a single problem. Like you're all doing almost the same program. Well, we all have different problems, right? Well, no, you have one problem. It manifests differently in different people. But you are a person, and we're trying to treat the whole person, okay? It's different philosophy. That's why they never will find this unless they change the paradigm. Now, this is scientifically proven. Pissinger is a very renowned scientist, but they just don't believe in what he did. Or at least they don't, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Now, this is the result of taking these mineral hostages. What is it? Osteoporosis. Now, why do you get osteoporosis? Yes, why is it stealing calcium from your bones? Yeah, it's trying to balance things out. The body's trying to balance things out. The other is the self-defense mechanism is draining the acids through the skin or the membranes. Look, start coming out through your skin. Or, have you seen those white shirts that look yellow in the color or yellow here, the yellow pancakes? What's that? Yeah, it's draining urea. It's urine coming out of the body somewhere because the kidneys are not getting it out as efficiently. It needs to get out somewhere, and it gets it out somewhere. Okay? The body is trying to balance itself out. Or this, eczema, psoriasis. You see this, what you need is a cream, a lotion. You see what I'm talking about, right? It is not related to the skin. It is coming from the inside part of the cell trying to drain this thing as fast as possible somewhere. Or maybe it uses the membranes. Membranes are below the skin. And these membranes could be the eye. They're membranes, soft membranes. Or it could be the sinuses, the sinus membrane. So I have sinus problems. What is it? You're draining acid somewhere. It's just draining and draining and draining and draining. Never stops. The body's trying to overcompensate for the acid because it's not coming out for where it needs to go. Where does it need to go out? Kidneys, liver, lung. But it's not going through those mechanisms efficiently. So let me throw it out from somewhere that I can. And the last way that the cell defends itself, it's mutate. So now it takes, the cell is it's in an alkaline environment, and it changes to live in an acid environment around it. It lives in a rich oxygen environment, which it has a lot of energy, and now it lives in an environment without oxygen. And the sodium, low sodium becomes high sodium. That's another story. And there's different proteins too. Anyways, I just want to say that it just changes the way the cells changes the way it functions. Instead of grabbing oxygen from the environment to get energy, because it needs to do something, if it's an eye cell, it needs to see. If it's a stomach cell, it needs to digest. It needs energy for that. Instead of working that way, now it cannot work that way. And it changes and uses the same acids that are surrounding it for energy. It doesn't produce enough energy, but it produces some energy that it's at least allows it to live. And that is what the cell does. So in summary, the cell defense is retain liquids in the interstitial space to dilute the acids and allow the entrance of nutrients from the capillary to the cell. It takes hostage minerals, alkaline minerals from the bones to form salts, calcifications. Drain the acids through the skin or membranes, or mutate. Now, these are, once the cell mutates, these are orthodox treatments for it. Cut the head off. Let's cut it off. Now, they used to do this long time ago. They would put somebody that was problematic in the guillotine and they just cut their head off. This is how long ago? This is disgusting. But this is what they used to do before with people that were problematic. That's what we do today with cancer. Same thing, let's cut it off. Not a lot of evolution here. People burn it at the stake. You know, remember those people that were heretics or problematic? They burn them at the stake. Well, nothing has changed in our treatment also. We burn at the stake too. Radiotherapy. Similar solution. We're talking centuries and centuries and centuries ago. Or, what else can we do? We could poison. Give them poison. They gave people poisons. Just what we do today, chemotherapy. Poison it. So nothing has changed. I would say if we're going to apply first century approaches to problems of the 20th and 21st century, why don't we just do the whole, why don't we just siege the tumor? They would siege these cities, surround them because the city was fortified so they couldn't go in and people had to go out to get the food from the farmers out and eat. So this army will siege the city and don't allow anybody to go in or out. And people will starve until they give up. Why don't we do that with the tumor? Well, let's apply first century approach to everything we're doing. How do you siege a tumor? Just alkalinizing. Remember, it lives in an acid environment, so just change the opposite. Alkalinize. Hyperoxygenate the environment. Give more oxygen. Well, it lives in a lack of oxygen environment. Give it more oxygen. Low sodium diet and starve it. What does it eat? Sugar, protein. So starve it from sugar and protein. How to alkalinize? Well, just do cleanses. How you're going to learn how to do cleanses here. Recovering function of try to recover the function of the liver, kidney, and lungs. Drain the toxins around the cells. How? Alkaline diet and hydrotherapy. Corrective diet. Hydrotherapy. Sauna, hot and cold bath, Epsom salt bath. You see, those things are very, very good. How do you clean a filter? With water, right? You go to clean a filter, you take the filter and you water. Well, vegetables and fruit are 95% water. The more water you can get, the better it is. And, all the micronutrients on vegetables, help you clean those filters too. Hyperoxygenate. How do you oxygenate the blood? You see those cells that look round but with a big white dot in the middle that you probably saw. That's a lack of oxygen. You know, wheatgrass super oxygenates the blood. Juicing super oxygenate the blood. And oxygen generators like ozone, they oxygenate the blood. Now we have hydrogenizer, so it's even better. Fast. Fasting is good. You starve the cancer. By fasting 3 to 12 days, by at least 3 days that you fast a month, it lowers the IGF-1 factor, which is related to cancer production, by almost, I think it's almost 80%. Okay? Just fasting 3 days. 3 days a month will probably avoid you having a cancer in your lifetime. Or you could go, another fast could be 5 days in corrected diet. Corrected diet means, you know, what we're eating. What I'm eating, vegetables in the morning, cook in the afternoon, and 2 days that I just go raw with no fats. Really low calorie in those 2 days. That's a fast. No avocados, no almonds, no sesame, no anything. Lemon and salt and a dressing and Peter seasoning or some type of seasoning. Yeah, 2 days. That's a big fast. That also lowers your IGF-1 factor. If you can't do any of those, just do a corrected diet. That's a fast too. Now, best thing is to cleanse the filters of self-elimination to allow safe detox. So basically, now if I clean these filters, things are going to what? Flow how they need to. And this is a summary of how it should was looking. Anybody has questions? We almost finish on time. The person has to be able to learn for themselves and take control of their life. I would like not to deal with stage 4 because it's up in the air. We have, and it has been successful, and we have, and it's been successful. Thing is that unless God send them here, it's a very hard decision to make. You know, I had somebody here that came with lung cancer, stage 4. And I mean, you fall in love with people here. You get to know them, and it's hard, you know. It's hard when they are gone, and you try as much. I mean, you try everything possible, day and night, and you know they're gone, and it's just hard. So I mean, I like to avoid that type of things. I wish they would come out earlier. You see, and sometimes you know they can't do much for themselves, so it takes a lot of the energy and work that you can do for other people that are here. So, you know, it's a hard thing. But let me tell you, we have seen people here that have come in stage 4 cancer. Some of them have died, and their life was changed. Not only them and their family. There was forgiveness. There was, you know, meeting God personally. There was all these things that I say, you know, it was good that they came. But, you know, that's what I'm saying. If God sends them here, then I would not say no. But it's a difficult decision to make. I'd rather have somebody that can do things for their own, that can, because I mean, we can't have you here more than a month. So now, if I have a problem, when you get to the last stage, which is mutation, cancer, you understand now why I would tell you cleanse very frequently, because until you're able to get rid of these toxins, you won't. See, when you take the orthodox approach or the conventional approach where you go chemotherapy, well, chemotherapy, yeah, it poisons those cells, right? And it destroys the cells that are that are seen by the equipment we have today. And it has to get to a certain size for it to be detectable. So once it grows to a certain size that is detectable, that chemotherapy can eliminate those tumors, but it has not eliminated the cancer or the conditions for that cancer. The conditions for that cancer was what? The filters were problematic. So things were backing up. Okay? So now I go take the approach of putting more chemicals, poisons, more acids to destroy these things. Where are those acids going to go? If right now it's clogged and it's not going anywhere, where are they going to go? They're going to stay there. That's why 5 years later, it comes with a vengeance and it just goes all over the body. Because they have not addressed the initial problem, which was this guy here. These three problems here. So if you have to, I cannot say you don't do a chemotherapy. I mean, when I'm there faced with that, I have to make that decision. It's a personal decision that everybody has to make according to what they have in their hands. And if you have to go there, you better make sure you do this very, very effectively, because it's going to kill you eventually. I mean, probabilities are very low after 5 years. They don't trace you they don't trace you for 5 years because they know after 5 years you're dead anyways.